Hello YouTube! My name is Scott and welcome to another episode of Opinions No One Cares About, a video series that occasionally screams into the void, only for the void to reply, "Could you please keep it down? I'm trying to sleep." So it turns out that if you like making videos, which I do, and if you have opinions about nerdy things, which I also do, Star Wars is the gift that keeps on giving. I've made some videos about Star Wars already. 2 of them, in fact. So I decided to make a third one because who doesn't love a good Star Wars trilogy? Hey, I said a good Star Wars trilogy. That's better. Now you may recall, as avid fans of my channel, he said, hoping that saying it out loud would make it true, that I made a Star Trek video earlier this season where I narrowed my focus to specifically talk about the Kobayashi Maru. This video will be similar, in which I will attempt to discuss the Death Star. No, I said the Death Star. That's clearly a small Oh, I see. The Death Star is, of course, a massive space station built by fascists who decided that they just weren't scaring enough people into submission, even with Darth Vader running around. So this thing comes along. Size of a planet, or at least a small moon. It can clearly fly through hyperspace like ships can. Oh, and it can do this. That being said, this thing does have its weaknesses. For example, in the Battle of Yavin, for some reason, the Death Star travels through hyperspace to get to the system, then slows to a crawl, giving the rebels enough time to attack it. Not necessarily a design flaw, but definitely a tactical misstep on the part of the Empire. Then there's the fact that this thing generates enough power to destroy entire planets, but its shielding isn't actually enough to protect it from small ships like X-Wings. But then there's the major weakness of the Death Star, the thermal exhaust port. Well, the smaller thermal exhaust port below the main one anyway. That's the Achilles heel of this massive space station, and a perfect target if you're a farm boy from Tatooine who enjoys shooting small animals for fun, which raises no red flags.
There's 2 sons and no women. What the hell am I supposed to do?
I'm sure you could find something. Don't you have some power converters to pick up? But I digress. Thanks to Galen Erso, the biggest space station in the galaxy had a tiny little flaw that went unnoticed by anyone actually building the thing. Although I have a theory about that, but it's a different video. As we know, this thermal exhaust port is the key to destroying the Death Star. Unfortunately, it's at the end of a large, heavily defended trench, forcing the rebels to run a gauntlet of laser fire to even stand a chance of hitting the thing. Now, the obvious question is, why? I said seems to be before because the surface of the Death Star is confusing to look at. There's a lot of stuff here, as you can see from this pic from Wikipedia. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I don't know what all of those structures are, but I bet good money that they're not all weapons. After all, the Empire considered itself indestructible, especially since it could go around vaporizing planets. And the Emperor thought the rebellion was insignificant, so why arm this thing to the teeth? My point is, it seems like despite the explanation given, the Death Star didn't really have the defenses necessary to force a trench run. And look at this. Now I admit this is only a picture of the exhaust port and a small area surrounding it, but there's nothing there to defend it, and it seems like one could get pretty close to it without having to go through a trench. And while we're on the subject of the trench, where is it? I'll bet you anything you're looking at this picture of the Death Star and saying, oh, it's in that middle part there, easy. But no, it's not. We find out in the movie that the thermal exhaust port is actually at the top of the Death Star in an entirely different trench. Everybody's brains just conflate the two. So the thermal exhaust port is at the top of the Death Star. This makes me wonder if taking the shot from so far away, like Luke did, was necessary. A space station this size seems like it should be able to generate its own gravity, and we've seen the inside of it. It clearly does. So why take the shot from so far off? Just ignore the trench, fly over the port, drop the torpedoes.
Gravity's working.
Bing, bang, boom. Literally. And everyone's off to get their medals. Sorry, Chewie. But take away what is essentially the trick shot, and what do you have? No trench run, which is just a great shot in the movie. Less of a reason for Han to come back and redeem himself, since Luke wouldn't be boxed in and would have more room to maneuver. It's almost like the Death Star was designed specifically to make the movie better, and I don't think Galen Erso was considering that. So with that in mind, Okay, look, I don't have a good ending here. Honestly, it was kind of a weak premise, just questioning the placement of the thermal exhaust port. But it does make my collection of Star Wars videos a trilogy, and I guess every trilogy can have a bad one. Or 3. Hey, did you need help? Huh? Well, I remember trying to write this one, and I thought I could help with the ending. No, I don't think even you can save this one. Yeah, knew you'd say that. I thought I should still try, though. Bye. Later. Wait, what happened to his scar? Hey, everybody. That's the end of another one. I hope you guys liked it. I guess. So, do all the usual YouTube stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the little bell icon so you can be notified the next time I put a video up. Maybe skip this one entirely. I was not that inspired when I wrote it. But anyway, until next time, I've been Scott, and this has been Opinions No One Cares About. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.